With roots dating back to the 1800s, the producer of this rather stylish SUV is China's oldest car maker, although admittedly they only started producing civilian cars in the 1980s. And funnily enough, since 2010, they've had an R&D centre right here in the UK. So does that mean that this car is perfectly customised for European audiences? Let's find out. This is Inside China Auto, and this is the Changan Deepal S07. Yes, this is the Changan Deepal S07, and despite covering Chinese cars in China for the last 4 years, this is the first time we've actually had a Changan on the channel, apart from the Avatar cars, which are also made by Changan. Nevertheless, I'm pretty delighted to finally have this car maker and brand on board, and hopefully we'll have some of their cars on the channel in future. In the UK, the S07 is their first model. They've just launched the smaller S05 as well, so hopefully we'll cover that in a future video. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. Changan is the car maker, Deepal is the brand. And some UK publications have been saying Deepal is their European brand. That is not true. Deepal is also sold in China. They sell about 30,000 units every month, so they're doing pretty well. And I think you can see why, because this is a very stylish looking mid-size SUV. It's actually designed in Milan, where Changan has had a design center since about 2001. Lovely, sharp design, very kind of creased and chiseled around here, quite prismatic in the way that it looks, particularly down here at the front where we get this pointy nose, chiseled chin, and a bit of aero around the front there. You'll see this panel down here has little triangles in. In China, that lights up. You can get little graphics on there. In the UK, that's not allowed, sadly, so it's just a panel for us. But we do get pretty stylish daytime running lights here with a kind of a trident design there that's also replicated at the back of the car. Interesting thing about the S07, Mazda is building their new mid-size SUV on this platform, the CX-6E, which is definitely going to Australia, should be coming to the UK as well. And that means that you can get a bit of a preview of that car from this one. Now, we do get 20-inch alloys, good size for the car, 4.7 meters long. This car, they fit really well. 20 inch is the only size that you can get in the UK. I believe you can also get 19s in China. Now, let's talk a little bit about the door. Electronic door handles, they pop out. They're going to be outlawed in China, so that's going to change in the future. We get frameless windows, which are quite stylish. They're also double glazed on the front to give you a bit of extra sound insulation as well. And I'm going to pop open the bonnet because under here we get a pretty useful 125 litre front. That's bigger than what you'll get on a Tesla Model Y. So loads of space in there for bags and things, maybe 2 or 3 large backpacks or a carry-on case and some other stuff as well. So that's really, really useful. That indicates that this car is rear-wheel drive, which it is. We get a 160 kilowatt motor on the rear axle, 320 Newton meters of torque, gives this car a decent bit of shove as well. As well as that, we also get a 360-degree camera, which does help for parking, especially in tight car parks like the one that I'm in today. At the rear, we get a continuation of that sort of sharp, edgy design language with what really looks quite a meaty rear end on the back of the S07 that I do quite like. We get a big sporty spoiler at the top, a very stylish high-level brake light, mirrored in the bumper that's embedded in this kind of diffuser look here with our fog lamp down there. We get our sort of trident daytime running light that I did mention was reflected at the front, and then a zigzag daytime running light all the way across the back with the Deepal logo lit up in the middle there. We do get a rear window wiper and an electronic boot lid, which you can open with the button. It's a bit off to one side, slightly annoying. And then in here, a reasonably useful 510 litres of space. That's a bit smaller than rivals like the Skoda Enyaq, but nevertheless, it's a good square space. No space under the boot floor, I'm afraid, though, because there's, of course, that rear motor in the back of the car. Now, you can fold the rear seats down 40-60. The downside is that pulling off this parcel shelf is really difficult. There's just not enough grip on either side. It's a little bit too resistant to getting that out. The only other thing in the boot there is a large bass unit. That's part of a 14-speaker sound system on this car, which we'll talk about when we get inside. Should also mention we get our charge port on the side here. That does have V2L capability up to 6 kilowatts, so you can charge external devices from that as well. And at the moment, I believe it's free. We can get a tow ball on this car as well, giving us up to 1.5 tons of towing capability. Like with most of the interiors that we check out on the channel, the inside of the S07 is pretty nice on the whole. It's pretty well constructed, nicely screwed together. There's no creaks, there's no misaligned panels, so everything's good on that side of things. We get a lovely white interior color on our car, which is my personal favorite. You can get it in brown, kind of a tan orange color, or in black as well. The white is really good on bright days like this. It feels so much more uplifting to sit in this atmosphere. And the materials are pretty good as well. So we get kind of harder rubbery stuff on top. We get soft touch materials around the middle and in the doors and the center console, and our harder plastics are all at the bottom. Extra flourishes are the kind of microfiber here on our wireless chargers, and some fake wood there in the doors. You'll see we also, by the way, get vegan leather on our seats, so they're lovely and soft and also feel very premium. I'll come onto the seats in a moment. But on the whole, it is a very, very pleasant place to be and pretty spacious, particularly in the back, which I'll get onto in a bit. Now, like most Chinese cars, everything centers around a large screen in the middle, and you may have noticed it's the only one. So there's no screen here ahead of the driver. Instead, we get an augmented reality head-up display that gives you things like your speed, different features. It gives you your navigation and kind of little arrows that guide you when to turn left and right. It's kind of discreet. It's not the largest in the world, but it's there when you need it. Coming back to the main screen though, this is a 15.6 inch screen, runs on the Snapdragon 8155 processor, so it runs pretty slickly. You get these lovely wallpapers on there, you get quick access tabs across the bottom for the things that you're going to need, and we get a pretty busy toolbar at the bottom, which is good because there's plenty of functionality on there. It's bad because you can't customize it, so you can't change these icons for things that you might use more than others. You can do a lot of that on the steering wheel though, where we get two favorite buttons on here, where you can change a lot of different features on there. But for example, we get heated and ventilated seats in this car as standard. It can only show one of them at a time. So we've got ventilation at the moment. If I want to change to heat, I've got to go into the menu, change to heat, and then the icon will change at the bottom there. The other thing with the fans, you can only click on it and then slide your temperature on there. You can't just slide it in one go, which is the way that I would prefer it to be. So not quite as functional as it could be, but as I said, a lot of stuff on there. You can pull down from the top to get all of your apps. You get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay wireless for both of those, as well as Amazon Music and Spotify. Slide over, you get a lot of useful functions in there as well. Interesting thing about this screen, if I go into this menu here, and I can actually tilt the screen left to right. So when I get into the car, the screen will automatically tilt towards me. If the passenger wants to use it, I can tilt the screen over to them. And if you start talking to the car, because this car does come with its assistant in there as well, it will automatically tilt the screen to the person who is talking. The assistant, by the way, runs on that kind of fuzzy logic thing, but like ChatGPT, where you can say, "Hi Deepal, I'm starving," and it will then guide you to restaurants nearby. Unfortunately, I'm on the guest account, so it's not working for me, but I do believe that is there in the system. So yeah, it's a good system, nice and slick, works really well. Supported by 14 speakers, so a pretty decent sound system. I don't know how many watts of output that is, but we get a big bass unit in the back, as I mentioned earlier. As a good sound system, not quite as many speakers as the Geely EX5, but does a pretty good job with the music that you want inside the car. And you get headrest speakers in here as well, so you can kind of focus that on yourselves rather than passengers in the back. Other features inside here, we get our, as I said, wireless charger. That's 40 watts and it's ventilated, which is good, so pretty quick charging on that. You get a pair of cup holders, very deep, very long storage bin in the middle here, bit of space under the dashboard as well, including USB-C and USB-A sockets. Decent space in the doors and a space for your phone there, and a good sized glove box at the same time. Now I want to talk about the seats a little bit, because these are a bit of a low point for me. I mean, they're not bad. It's not that they're uncomfortable. They're certainly wide enough. As you can see, I'm a pretty broad guy. You get big side bolsters, but they are quite wide. So you don't really feel like you're kind of being held in the car. You feel like you've got a lot of room to move, and that's not particularly great if you want to go quickly around corners, which, to be fair, most people probably won't do in the S07. The biggest gripe that I have though, we get 10-way adjustability for the driver, that's fine, 4-way adjustability for the passenger. The downside is the base cushion feels a little bit too short for my liking, and because we don't get enough tilt angle adjustment, it does feel like my legs are a little bit flat. It doesn't feel like I can really lift them up. So I'd like a little bit more tilt angle adjustment, or a bit of base cushion extension would be good. Steering wheel itself though is pretty good on here. As I said, you get your favorites menu, you get a 360-degree camera on there as well, so easy access on there. Our stalks are interesting at the same time. They are fresh off a Mercedes from the 2010s. We get our drive mode on the left side, on the right side, sorry. On the left side, we get our wipers and our indicators. You can pull it forwards and backwards for your high beams. If you press on the end, it will splash a bit of water, move your wipers, and on the screen, you can change the speed. Now, the wipers, they are automatic, so you don't really need to do that. But if you want to, you got to splash it, make it work first, and then go to it in the system. So that's a little bit strange. And your rear window wiper, by the way, is on the bottom of the screen over there. Now, as well as all that stuff, we have a 1.9 square meter panoramic roof that does come with an electronic sun blind built in as well. So that's really good for keeping your kids nice and cool in summer. Overall, it is a lovely place to be. It's well equipped. As I said, it is comfortable, heated and ventilated seats and a heated steering wheel at the same time. All of those standard because there's only one version of this car. I'll come on to that during the driving section. But yeah, just a few little foibles here and there, but overall, quite lovely. Now, I suspect one of the main selling points for the S07 will be the amount of space that we've got in the back of the car. As you can see, loads of room here. That seat is where I would have it when I'm driving. Plenty of knee room, loads of foot room down there, good long base cushion with good thigh support and plenty of headroom at the same time. It certainly feels very open and spacious here in the back of the car. And we do get a few useful features at the same time. One of them is here in the middle. We get this fold down armrest, a little bit chunky, that quite heavy. We get a phone holder in the middle and a pair of cup holders in there as well. Now down here in the middle of the center console, we get a little vent and we get some capacitive touch controls. They're not very easy to see in bright sunlight, which is coming down over my shoulder here, so I can't really see what I'm doing there, but you can control the 2-zone climate control. So basically rear ventilation is tied to the passenger side ventilation over there. You can adjust the temperature and the fan speed from the back of the car. You can also move this passenger seat forwards and backwards to give you more space in the back of the car, and you can close our electronic sun blind up there as well, which is really quite nice. We also get a USB-C socket buried down there for charging your phone as well. We get a bit of space on the back of the front seats for magazines and things, decent door pockets and space for a phone there. Now, there are two things I have to point out, which I have to be fair because I have pointed this out on other brands as well. The first one, on the Model YL review I did, I pointed out you could get your finger in the gap between the B pillar and the door. You can do the same thing on the Deepal S07. You can easily get that in there. It's pretty good all the way up the door, but the top, you can easily get your finger in there. Now, another thing, and this is health and safety. Now, in China, as I mentioned earlier, they are outlawing electronic door handles. So all of our doors in here are operated via a button. That means that if in the worst case situation something happened, you're going to need to find a way to get out of the car. And that means you need to find the manual handle. It's not easy to find. It's in a little plastic pocket right underneath the door pocket there. So if you're in the middle of a panic and a fire, you have to remember where that is, push the plastic out of the way, and there's a cord in there you can pull out to get out the door manually. I think that will probably change in future versions of this car, but it is something I do feel I need to point out because I like you guys. You're my audience and I appreciate you being here for the videos. So as I said, overall, pretty lovely in the back. Just check out those things. One other final thing is the Isofix mountings. These are really good, dead easy access. Pop open the plastic lid and you've got a really easy access for your car seat there, and there's loads of space. My car seat's really big for my daughter. She's got plenty of leg room in here once that's in. So lovely back seats in here. Now let's get back in the front and take it for a drive. Now, I questioned at the start of the video whether Changan's UK R&D base would mean that we get a car that is much closer to European counterparts in terms of the way that it drives. And I'm delighted to say that it is. It's not quite there yet, but the S07 is definitely the best driving complete Chinese car that I've driven here in the UK. It's slightly firmly sprung, so it does have a fairly fidgety ride over bumpy surfaces, but it never crashes, which is good. Compared to the Geely E5, which was very blancmange-like, very squidgy, it's much firmer and much more dynamic than that, and it does have a better ride quality than the BYD C-Line 7, which I really didn't like very much at all in terms of the way that it drove. This is pretty well sorted. It's not quite as direct, it's not quite as feelsome as maybe some European rivals, but the steering's got a good amount of weight to it, a little decent amount of feel, and yeah, I do think it's probably the best sorted Chinese car that I've driven on UK roads so far. So I like it. Now, it's not super quick. As I mentioned, we do get that 160 kilowatt motor on the rear axle, 320 Newton meters of torque. It will do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 7.6 seconds. So not really that fast. I think that's slower than a Elite Motor C10, for example, which has roughly the same amount of power. It might have 180 kilowatts. But the one thing that you will find is it really just doesn't have a lot of mid-range torque. You know, you kind of expect electric cars, pretty much all of them, to have enough power to kind of zap you past somebody else at about 40-50 miles per hour. It's not particularly quick. Even if you put it in sport mode, it doesn't really give you much more power. In eco mode, it's pretty breathless, but in sport mode, it's better, but again, not super fast. Now, when it comes to the batteries, there's only one choice on the 07, which is a near enough 80 kilowatt hour NMC battery. I think about 72 to 74 kilowatt hours of that is usable. That should give you 295 miles of range on the WLTP cycle. That's not quite as much as some other rivals in this segment, but it is a decent amount. And in my real world testing of this car, I've got about 81 to 84% of the claimed mileage on that. So we're looking at about 240 miles of real world range, with a bit of, well, probably mostly urban driving, some highway driving, and a bit of dual carriageway stuff as well, which is quite reasonable. That's what you would expect, I would say. Now, it's not the fastest charging battery in the world, which is a bit surprising for an NMC battery. I think we get 92 to 93 kilowatts of DC fast charging. We do at least get 11 kilowatt AC charging, but that's a little bit slower, for example, than what you'll get on a Geely E5 or the Sea Lion 7, and certainly a bit slower than on other cars like the Skoda Enyaq. It will do, I think, 30 to 80% in about 35 minutes. That's pretty slow. So that, if you're looking for a car that charges quickly, it's probably not the one for you. But to be fair, we don't have that many fast chargers here in the UK to take advantage of anyway. But yeah, real world range is reasonable enough. The good thing is, it's not the most expensive car in the world. So the price, there is only one version of this car. I think it's just called the Standard. In the UK, at least. There might be other versions in other countries, but here in the UK, it's just under £40,000. I think it's 39,990, and that means that it does qualify for at least part, I think, of the UK electric vehicle grant. So you probably get a bit of extra money on top of that, and for that you get, you know, pretty well equipped car. You get a lot of stuff in here. You get your head-up display, you get your heated and ventilated front seats, and of course you get, you know, decent range and mileage as well. I think that's good. That's quite a bit cheaper than the cheapest version of a Skoda Enyaq. And if you want to get similar levels of kit, you're going to have to spend roughly about 10 grand more on an Enyaq to get to a similar level. So it does seem like reasonable value, this. And as I said, compared to other Chinese cars, if you're looking for something that does feel a little bit more engaging, if not particularly quick, then the S07 may well be a car that you should consider. Now, when it comes to the ADAS, one final thing, it's basically, I think it's either level 1 or level 2, so you do get adaptive cruise control. You don't get automatic lane change. It works well enough. It's easily done. Once you indicate to change lanes, it will just turn it off until you get back into the next lane. It's nothing special. It also doesn't have a capacitive steering wheel, which means that you need to every now and then just give the wheel a bit of a jiggle, or you have to have your kind of hand weighted on the steering wheel. You can't leave it down here at the bottom. So that's kind of a little bit of thing that might annoy people if you want to have a bit less fuss in your ADAS system. But overall, it does pretty much what you would expect it to, and probably what most other cars in this segment can do as well. So that's it for our review of the Deepal S07. This car, I would say, really has quite a lot going for it. It's particularly good to look at. It's quite sharp and edgy and dynamic out on the road. It's got a lovely interior that's quite spacious, well appointed, lovely materials, good kit list, and pretty decent software as well. Yes, it's not quite as practical as some of its rivals. The boot space is a little bit less, albeit it is a useful shape. Of course, we do get that large front though, which does help. It's a little bit slower on charging than some rivals, not quite as much range, but for the money, I think you're getting a really good value car. And the thing that I particularly like about the S07 compared to the other true Chinese cars that we've driven, so not the Polestars, is that it does drive really well as well in the UK. It's got a good steer, its ride quality is pretty decent, and it's a bit more firm, so it does feel a bit more engaging. It's a lot closer to European cars than most of the other Chinese cars that we've driven, and I think that will make it quite appealing to certain people. Thank you very much for watching. If you do, thank you for subscribing. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up so more people can see the great cars coming out of China. And as ever, we'll catch you next time.